to the KWHL Morning Show.
106.5 KWHL is Alaska's Rock Authority. It's 9:25, and I am still taken by the service. That was just very, very powerful.
It was powerful, and I'm messing with the mic. It was exactly, I think, what this country is needed.
Yep.
You know what? And not being an over-religious fella, but you know, I've always had a spot in my heart for faith, and there have been times when I've called upon it in my life, like I think a lot of people have at times, going through difficult situations here or there. But I think this is exactly the kind of thing that is going to make us a stronger country again, because this is one thing that we have walked away from. When I was a kid, you went to church every Sunday, and if you didn't, you get a whack in the butt and, you know, get dressed, you're going to church. And I have to admit, I hated it, you know, and this is why I think I walked away from it for a while, years ago. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say I go now. I haven't gone. However, my faith in God is so much stronger on my own. I have a one-to-one faith, so I still have a faith. I don't necessarily feel I have to go to a building to prove it.
And not being religious at all, it was nice to see various groups being able to come together, because you hear a lot about, you know, my God's better than your God. And it was nice, as somebody who's, I'm kind of outside of all that. I don't view things in that perspective. I'm for humanity. I'll deal with that later when I die or whatever. So it was nice to see that. People coming together regardless of what their beliefs are or what their faction is. And
I think it was nice to have the gentlemen that were Muslims in here. You know, you had Muslims, you have Christians, and we both agreed that you're wrong. And
but now we have a psychiatrist.
Yes, we do, and she's going to analyze why you're a heretic.
Actually, no, we have a Jeannie Berreiter from South Central Counseling Center. Thank you for coming in this morning.
It's a real pleasure having you in with us.
And
thank you for inviting me.
Yes, and this is great because, you know, I myself am a father, and I'm also a stepdad, so I've got kids of all ages under that roof right now, and this is one of the things that my wife and I are dealing with, is how do you explain to a 9-year-old or a 5-year-old or whatever about the horrible things that they're seeing on television?
Well, you know, there is no easy answer as to how to explain this to kids, of course, and we already know that already. But I think there are a few things that we can keep in mind that are helpful. And number one, which may be surprising, is take care of yourself. You need to do that first in order to be able to take care of your kids. I know a lot of parents are feeling really guilty and thinking, I'll just focus on my kids. But you need to think about yourself, take care of yourself, and this will help you with your kids. And the number one thing for that is try to tear yourself away from the TV once in a while. People are watching it and getting somewhat obsessed in it, and it's traumatizing, and it can be traumatizing to children as well to see too much of this.
You know, bringing that up, the first day, of course, we were here at the studio extra long. In fact, neither one of us left until mid-afternoon.
Yeah. And
we've been here since 6 a.m., so we went through like 8 or 9 straight hours of this. And just hearing it was beating us up. And then we went home, and being that neither one of us had a television here, then we both watched it on TV. And I have to tell you, I was talking to Rick the next day. I came in, I was in a zombie-like state, and not only that, but when I went to bed that night, my muscles, literally, my body ached and were sore from the emotional upheaval. You know, you could just feel the whole tension thing and everything going through because of all the horror that we had to witness. And you're right. You know, I'm saying to myself this weekend, I think I'm just going to not watch TV for a couple hours. I've actually talked about getting a couple movies and, you know, not wanting to forget about it totally, out of respect, but you need a break from the sadness.
So once you do that, how do you help your kids get through this? Do you wait for them to ask? Do you approach them and say, hey, I want you to see this?
Well, we try to get for a medium thing. It's important to let kids know that this was serious, that this was real, and that you have feelings about it, and that they have feelings about it. That needs to be acknowledged. On the other hand, you don't want to make kids talk about it. Children deal with things in different ways. Some kids will be crying, thinking that their house is going to be destroyed today. Other children will think that they just saw something on TV and they won't be able to differentiate it from having watched a movie. The whole range of reactions. So what you need to do is figure out what, you know your own child better than anybody else. What is your child thinking, feeling, and help them to express that. Kids need to be reassured that they're safe and that you can handle it and you will help them handle it.
You know, you say that, the whole thing about knowing your kid. I'm still pretty new at this. It's my first time being a dad. And I found that I've been screwing up, but I guess it's like my wife said. She says, everybody makes a mistake with their kid. And you try to do the best you can, and there's sometimes when I'm yelling and I realize that they're not just yelling, they're upset about something. Then I got to be, oh, come here, and you feel like a total dope. But it has been difficult. I mean, my son, he's been fighting a cold too, so not only is he watching stuff on TV, but now he's got the feelings of physical sickness on top of it, and it's been a lot more cranky. But I'm worried so much about, I guess, my stepsons, because that's one of the things. How do you tell them that we're going to be okay?
Yeah, what do you do with a child who maybe is depressed by this, or, is you can see a change in their attitude or the way they carry themselves?
Well, it's very normal for children to be showing a change in behavior, to appear depressed or withdrawn, or some kids will respond by acting out. Mm-hmm. Other kids will respond by acting like the clown, which can be really difficult for adults to understand. We think they're not taking this seriously, but that can just be their way of expressing their own unease.
That's what we, at times, I guess, because, we both have a dark sense of humor at times, and sometimes I've noticed ourselves, when we're hit with tragic situations, we goof around a little bit about it, not always on the air.
Not that we goof about the situation.
But you joke.
Just goofy jokes that are, dark in themselves, but not necessarily about the situation.
No,
and I can see how if a child's doing that, you would think, oh my God, what's wrong with them?
Yeah, I mean, to us, we know why we're doing it, because we're relieving the pressure. It's like police officers I've known have had sometimes a very dark sense of humor because of all the things that they have to see every day.
Exactly, and a sense of humor can be a coping mechanism. It's a very good one that helps get people through. And children will use their normal coping mechanisms to help them get through this. There are a few sort of basic differences in how children of different ages tend to handle trauma, but it, of course, varies from child to child.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
For example, younger kids and younger by that I mean preschool-age kids, when something happens, they tend to really take their cues from their parents. So if you're crying and upset, they are likely to be crying and upset. Whereas if you're saying, this makes mommy or daddy sad, but but it's okay, then they tend to be more comforted. They also tend to get more clingy. They can go back to the bottle when they'd gone off it, or various what we call regressive kind of behaviors. By contrast, school-age kids tend to have more of a wide range, including, as I said before, acting out kind of behaviors or getting sad or withdrawn. Teachers might notice that their class is more disruptive, harder to keep under control than it had been before.
Sure.
It's amazing, because me and Gage must feel the same thing, because I felt like going back to the bottle this weekend.
You know what? That's a different bottle.
Yeah, it's a different bottle.
But no, his son is too, so obviously he's at that toddler age where he's learning everything from what you guys are doing.
It looks like we're getting questions here.
Yep.
Hey, KWHL, who's this? Hello?
Hey, I was wondering if they're going to have the candlelight visual at the park strip tonight at 8.
Well, actually, the candlelight visual is at 7 o'clock tonight, and it's wherever you are.
Okay, well, see, I was just listening to another station, actually.
Well, you shouldn't have been doing that right off the bat.
Yeah, we've got a child psychologist or psychiatrist on.
Yeah, trying to help with kids. Yeah. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, and actually, I heard that it's supposed to be at 3, our time. 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, well, you know what? We'll have to look into that. We're finishing up with our guest, and as soon as we do, we'll announce that.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, she needs to get her head examined.
Answering the phone in the middle of the interview.
Well, you know what? I thought people had a good question, for our guest, because
we
had moms
we have to invite him first.
Yeah, we had moms call earlier.
I know.
And we told them to call back when you were on, because we don't know what information to give out, because, we're just a couple of knuckleheads. You're the pro.
Well, hopefully the moms are listening now.
Yeah, please. If you're a mom, and
or dads.
Yeah, 3499691. We do want to welcome your questions, because I have to tell you, there are a lot of parents out there who are probably, like in my situation, maybe first-time parents going, what do I do with my kids?
What are some of the other age groups that they tend to break off in their pattern of dealing with these things?
Teenagers.
Yes.
Yep. Teenagers tend to have reactions more like adults, and adults under trauma can get withdrawn, feel as if things are unreal, can feel anxious, lose a sense of safety. That's quite common with teenagers. Heard one, for example, who said she had felt safe all her life, and this was the first time that sense of basic safety had been shattered. Teenagers also can act out, cannot want to go to school, or think it's silly to do their homework under the circumstances. They can get nightmares, bad memories, that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
And another thing we notice with teenagers is some of them can really harbor revenge fantasies, and that can make it really hard for them to get over it. So that's something we tend to see more in this age group. A lot of anger and really not knowing how to deal with it.
How do you deal with that if you've got a teenager that's expressing that kind of anger?
Well, it's hard because a lot of parents are feeling the same thing right now, but I think it's important to let the teenagers know that feeling anger is a very natural response, and that it's difficult to know what to do with the anger.
Do you think the anger stems from the helplessness?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, they want to be able to do something about it, and teenagers, as with everyone else, they don't like feeling helpless.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that people don't realize the wider range of the disaster from this itself. I mean, you think about the plane crashing into the tower, and you think of all those victims. But then now, here's the recurring effects. I mean, there are victims throughout this country now because of having to deal with their kids who have been scarred by viewing this on television. I mean, over and over again. It's a really sad situation, and I think the repercussions go much farther than anybody really brings to the table here.
Sure.
But we're glad that we have people like yourself who can help these kids. And
we're on with Dr. Jean Berreiter from the South Central Counseling Center. And thank you again for being with us on short notice. We called her yesterday and said, "Can you come help us talk about kids?"
Yeah.
She went, "Oh, okay, well, all right."
Do you have a lot of troubled kids coming through the center? I mean, otherwise, obviously you wouldn't have a job. But I mean, with this kind of a situation, I mean, I
think you're asking, has there been an increase in calls, an increase in people coming?
I'm glad you know how to do that. You're better at interpreting my goofy questions than I am. Jeez, look out.
Yeah. So far there hasn't really been, but I think that's a very important point. And looking at the effects of trauma in kids and in adults, there is certainly the initial reaction, and for some people it's being sort of numb or just going about their everyday business and not really feeling very much. And then for some people, they will start to feel the effects or have problems later on. So that's an important thing to know. By later on, I mean a couple weeks later, even a couple months later, and very rarely even a couple years later.
Really? They'll just snap out of it one day and let everything will hit them?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Wow, that's, pretty intense.
Now, see, look at this. Wow, look at this.
Well, the phones are exploding for questions.
Okay, well.
Good morning, guys.
Hi, did you have a question for Jean?
Yes, I did.
Please, go ahead.
I'm an aunt, Jean, of 2.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah.
And my nephew's 5. My niece is going to be 4. And I don't know if their dad's been letting them hear this on the radio or what. But if they are listening to this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which I know that how can their dad help them understand?
Well, what their dad can do is he can say that there are some very upsetting things going on and that dad's upset too and that you, their aunt, are upset, but that you're going to take care of them and they're going to be safe. For children their age, that's the most important thing to know, is that they are going to be safe and that the people taking care of them are going to take care of them and continue to do so.
We appreciate the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, hon.
That was great.
Take care.
All right.
Okay, well.
Who's this?
My name's Mike.
Hi, Mike. What's up, buddy?
Well, I was going to give you a slightly different perspective on things.
Okay.
Well, we're talking to Dr. Jean Berreiter.
Yeah, I understand that.
Oh,
okay. We just want to make sure that
I drive a school bus.
Oh, all right, Mike. Go ahead, please.
So I get to see how the kids interact with each other a little bit where there isn't really direct supervision.
Mm-hmm.
There's not adults breathing down their neck all the time. And below about the age of 12, 13, most of them don't really seem to understand what's going on, from what I've been seeing.
Well, do you think that maybe that's because in their lifetime they haven't really had to deal with situations like this, Doc?
I'd say that's largely what's going on, but the
Go ahead.
It's just that they're out there playing with each other, having their jokes and their games going back and forth.
Sure.
I don't know if people know it. We've got radios on most of the buses in the district now.
Oh, I did not know that.
And I had mine turned into the presidential's address.
Mm-hmm.
And we had most of the kids, junior high level and below, were asking to change the channel back to their music stations.
That makes sense for kids, I think.
Yeah, and it sounds to me, and I don't mean to be stepping in your shoes, Jeannie. But it sounds to me that I'm feeling a little tension under Mike's voice a little bit, too, that maybe he's having a hard time still dealing with this himself.
Well, right. Mike, we're with you. We all feel bad about the situation.
Well, I got a little stress in me because I'm having to deal with the kids that don't care. I've got friends that they're not directly involved with what's happening right now, but when it's time, friends in the military, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Can I butt in here? I wanted to say, this is Dr. Brighter again, that I think that's a hard thing that some of us are having to deal with, is being around children that seem oblivious, are just continuing on with their life as is when we're dealing with so much emotion. And for some children, I think they really don't realize it's real. It hasn't impacted them directly. They're not at the moment feeling traumatized, and many of them won't, and thank goodness for that.
No.
But it does make it, I think, harder for us to understand and accept that for them it just is not particularly real. They're tired of it. They do want to switch the radio station or just get on with their lives.
And I can understand, and I don't disagree that they have their need and right to feel that way, but it's difficult for somebody in my position not to blow up and lecture at them about how important things are.
Yeah, it sure is, and that's a real challenge, isn't it?
It certainly seems so. And do you think that maybe, and I don't mean to be one of these people that throw everything on the entertainment people or whatever, but the video games and the movies and stuff the kids are watching more and more nowadays, do you think that has something to do with it too, with the
I can see the potential that it just doesn't register as real to them yet.
Yeah,
I was the same way when the Shah was being taken out of Iran and they were chasing him around, because I was 11 or 12 at the time. I had no clue. This is big stuff in America because pretty soon we've got hostages. Yeah. The hostage crisis didn't hit me until I was 13 years old, and it had been going on for at least a year.
Well, I think many of them, as much exposure as they have through popular media, video games, movies, not saying it affects their behavior, but it's something that they see, that to see this, unless somebody actually explains the full difference or something drastic has changed in their life, somebody they know, a relative, is involved, I don't think they see a difference.
Well, but then again, look at your age difference, right, Doctor? I mean, that could be the thing, is maybe Mike's frustration is because he's an older individual, and why aren't you reacting the way I should be reacting?
And the older
children, I understand they shouldn't necessarily react the way I do.
But I think I'm hearing you say something else, which is that you're wondering or wanting to explain to kids that this is important and this is real and it matters.
I don't know that so much, but the issue that even if it isn't important to you, respect that it is important to other people.
Sure. You're basically trying to change their mindset, Mike. And
I don't know. Maybe it's coming across that way.
Maybe a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I can see, wanting to know what's going on and having 12-year-olds going, "What is that crap? Turn on whatever." Yeah,
we don't care about this. We want to hear Metallica or whatever. Which, again, we're dealing with a different generation too, Mike. I mean, how old are you?
I'm in my 20s.
Okay. All right. So you see, as each generation grows, and you go into the next generation, you look back, and I find myself through my own experiences that it's a total different thing. I mean, things have changed so much since I was a kid.
I realized how much I missed in the 70s because I was a kid. There was a lot of stuff going on. And then going back and learning that history, that's when I started to finally get it.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of that goes on over the next few years. And I have to say that the high school kids get on the bus in the morning and they ask that the radio get tuned into a news station. They want to know what's going on.
Wow. You might want to let them know that we do a lot of news now, right? Right this week, so we don't lose any of those listeners.
No, don't do that.
Well, guys, when I'm on the bus by myself, I generally have it tuned into you guys.
Good man, Mike.
You're not usually the top choice amongst the students. I hate to tell you.
You know what? Well, you just indoctrinate those little weasels into the way they should be thinking.
Oh, God.
You keep changing their mindset, Mike.
Mike, we really appreciate your call.
Thank you, buddy.
I guess the real message I wanted to get across is it hasn't hit most of the kids that the world has changed, and that I'd appreciate people trying to make the point that, something's happened. A lot of people are upset about it. Respect what they're going through, even if you aren't going through it yourself.
And on that note, too, I'd like to think that on the flip side of the coin, if I may, Doctor, let them still be kids.
Agreed.
You know, I mean, because the world has gotten so rough that a kid can hardly enjoy just playing a game of baseball.
I wouldn't want my kids thinking about this right now. I would want them, thinking they're safe and being okay with where we're at right now.
What's your advice?
And I agree that they should feel that way, but they also need to respect the people who want to draw back and go through, experience what's going on, and give them their space.
Yeah, well, you know what? You get to dump them off at their house and you're done with them, buddy.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Take care, Mike. Drive safe, buddy.
Be safe out there.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, buddy.
People like Mike, I think, have a good point. They're upset, but they're seeing people not upset.
You're the doctor. What do you think?
I think that we have different feelings. We respond to things in different ways, and my way isn't better than your way, and your way isn't better than my way. And it's perfectly fine if your kids are just wanting to yell and play and not think about this, to let them do it, and to tell them that you're upset and you need to listen to whatever you need to listen to, and have them respect that as well.
Good advice.
Well, if her way's no better than my way, I'm not going to go see her.
That's good advice.
I know I'm nuts.
That's good advice.
It is great advice. It really is. I mean, all joking aside, I mean, that's the one thing I'm learning as a parent, too, is you may not see eye to eye all the time, because my son, when sometimes I want to play with him, he doesn't feel like playing. And vice versa. He wants to play with me. I don't feel like playing sometimes. And you're just going, well, we're just two different individuals. And we each have our space. And I just tell him, well, go ahead and play if you want or whatever. Daddy'd like that time with you. But if he wants to be a kid, why should I take that away from him just because I feel like hugging him or whatever all the time? You know what I mean?
Well, you can give him a hug and then let him go play.
No, I do. I get my hug and then he runs away from me and I feel like, hey, come back, But we got another question.
Maybe another call. Dr. Gene Bereiter from South Central Counseling on the air with us.
This is awesome. KWHL, who's this?
This is Holly.
Hi, Holly. You have a question for the doctor?
Oh, I was listening to what the gentleman who I guess drives the bus was saying about the kids, and I think if we feel powerless as adults, I mean, how can emerging adults feel going on with all this? Some people just, when they can't do something about something, they try to ignore it.
Doctor?
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think you're bringing up another point, is how can we help emerging adults to feel in control of the things they can control? How can we help to get that back for them?
Exactly, because that's something that we won't see, they won't tell us, but it's there. And that's part of the reason, I think, why they tend to try to blow it off.
And I think that there are things that parents can do for their children, even in these days, to help them feel more in control, is to let them be in control of the things that aren't a big deal that they can do. For younger children, for example, don't fight them over what they want to wear in the morning. Let them make those kind of little choices. And for older children, again, the age-appropriate choices to help them see and get that feeling of security and control back again.
So if they dress really goofy, you just wear a disguise and dump them off at the school and get out of there fast?
Yeah.
Thank you, Holly.
Thanks for the call.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Gene Bereiter from South Central Counseling Online. What's some of the things we can look for? Again, you talked about different age groups dealing with it different ways. And would you mind recapping those again for those who may have just joined us? How to help kids deal with what's going on in our country?
Okay, well, can you hold for a second?
Okay, well, how to help kids deal with it is, number one, take care of yourself. Number two, let them know that it's real and important, but don't make them watch a lot of television. Try to limit that for your kids and probably for yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it when they want to. Don't make them talk about it. And you asked about recapping of how different kids of different ages handle things. Little kids tend to really take their cues from their parents. They can be clingier. They can go back to earlier kind of behaviors. School-age kids can be sad, depressed, withdrawn. They can get goofy, act out, get more aggressive. And teenagers tend to act more like adults do. But some probably special concerns are that teenagers are really trying to establish their sense of control in the world, and they can have a lot of problems dealing with their anger, and they need help from their parents in knowing how to do that.
It's
great.
We've
got another guy here for a question with the doctor here. KWHL, who's this?
This is Sam.
Hey, Sam, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing better.
Okay. Do you have a question for the doctor?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sam.
How are the kids taking it down in New York?
You mean the ones that were close to the ground zero type of thing?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how the kids are taking
Sam,
it in New York.
Yeah, Dr. Bereiter is from here in Anchorage. We invited her on to talk about how parents can deal with their own kids here watching the effects. For that kind of an answer, we'd have to be down there, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, I guess in general,
yeah.
I can say in general in trauma, more kids get traumatized the closer they are to the trauma. So people who were at the scene in the city who have family members or loved ones affected, they tend to be affected more. The signs and symptoms, the change behaviors I talked about, would tend to happen to a higher percentage of kids the closer they are to the tragedy.
Yeah, in fact, we have one of our close friends of the show, Chef Sal, his niece, was in a school just 10, 20 blocks away and witnessed the whole thing, and we're just sitting there talking about how horrific that must be for a child to have to watch something like that live, let alone on television. I mean,
absolutely, but again, there are a lot of things that adults can do to help to minimize the trauma in kids.
And the human psyche is a pretty amazing thing, isn't it, as far as the resilience?
It is, and most people will recover, go on completely, integrate this horrible experience, and go on.
That's great. Sam, thanks so much, buddy.
Yeah.
All right.
And thank you to Dr. Gene Bereiter.
Yes, please.
Your insight is invaluable.
And we'd love to have you back, and especially as this thing goes on, and maybe deal with some other issues with people and kids, or just people in general, because you seem to know your stuff.
She's good. You came highly recommended, by the way. I called around and South Central said, this is the lady you guys want.
Look at that.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor.
Right. This is a pleasure being here.
Yes.
Thanks.
It's Rowdy and Rick will be back in a couple of minutes. The KWHL Morning Show. It's 106.5 KWHL. It's Alaska's Rock Authority.